after leaving the NFL to become the head coach of his high school alma mater. Former Detroit Lions quarterback Teddy Bridgewater is planning a comeback. Bridgewater revealed the news to NFL Network's Ian Rappaport and Tom Pelissero. His announcement comes after Bridgewater led Miami, Florida, Northwestern to a state championship in his first season at the helm as the head coach. That's the plan, Bridgewater said of returning to the NFL. My team knows that's the plan. We wanted to win a state championship. And then coach goes back to the league, see what happens, and then come back February in the off-season. Continue coaching high school football. We'll see how it plays out. Just in case you were wondering, Bridgewater is ready to return in 2024, although he did not reveal if he has spoken to any teams. He plans on returning to coaching once the season is over. Right now, I'm enjoying this state championship, he said. We'll see how the next week and a half, 2 weeks play out. Might be signing with a team or something, and then returning back to coach high school football in February. So we'll see. A 2014 first-round pick of the Minnesota Vikings, Bridgewater spent 4 seasons with the Lions' NFC North rival. He also spent time with the New Orleans Saints, Carolina Panthers, Denver Broncos, and Miami Dolphins. He last played a snap in the NFL in 2023 with the Lions. He appeared in 1 game, but did not throw a pass while serving as Jared Goff's backup. As far as the Lions' possible interest is concerned, they do have Hendon Hooker as the backup to Goff, currently. But Hooker has very limited NFL experience. It isn't crazy to think that the Lions could consider bringing Bridgewater back as an emergency option. The Detroit Lions are the only NFL team never to have made a Super Bowl, a 58-year streak that finally could come to an end this season. Behind an uber-physical offensive line, an ultra-aggressive coach, and defenses and offenses full of some of the league's most promising players, the Lions already clinched a playoff spot by alternately crushing opponents and being more creative. Yet less than a month before the playoffs begin, their Super Bowl ambitions are in danger of being derailed, because one of the league's best teams has become one of its most injured. In all, 13 Lions defenders were listed on injured reserve, entering Sunday's potential Super Bowl preview against Buffalo. Then the attrition got worse. In a 48-42 loss to the Bills that dropped the Lions to 12-2 and ended their 11-game winning streak, starting defensive tackle Aleem McNeil suffered a season-ending torn ACL. Cornerback and special teams, standout Khalil Dorsey suffered a season-ending ankle injury. And starting cornerback Carlton Davis III fractured his jaw, according to reports. The earliest that Davis could return would be the NFC Championship game, NFL Network reported. The Lions' league-leading offense also wasn't spared. Sunday, running back David Montgomery, who had scored 12 rushing touchdowns and gained 1,016 yards from scrimmage as a rusher and receiver, sprained his MCL and could miss the rest of the season. Montgomery was half of the Lions' dangerous ball-carrying tandem, along with Jahmyr Gibbs. Currently, 22 Lions players are either listed on injured reserve or considered out, a depth-sapping run that began during the first preseason game when defensive tackle David Bada injured his Achilles tendon. In mid-October, a gruesome broken leg sidelined star defensive end Aidan Hutchinson. In mid-November, linebacker Alex Anzalone broke his left forearm in a collision with a teammate. A few weeks later, rookie defensive lineman Mekhi Wingo was lost for the season with a knee injury. Of the 11 Lions defensive starters in the Week 1 season opener, 6 have since suffered long-term injuries. On Sunday, quarterback Jared Goff told reporters, "I'm sure there will be a ton of stuff written about the sky falling, but no, internally, we're good." 2 days later, Lions coach Dan Campbell went on a local radio station in Detroit and delivered a fiery Lions State of the Union that pushed back on the idea that the Lions' window as a Super Bowl contender this season had closed. The Detroit Lions are working through a myriad of injuries and are reshuffling the roster in order to field the best team possible for the remainder of the regular season and postseason. Former NFL strength and conditioning coach Ted Rath previously worked with the Lions and shared with Lions on SI his thoughts on the defense suffering so many injuries this year. "It's interesting that it is on one side of the football, John. And we've talked about this, but the thing you have to keep in mind, there is a plethora of levels and context that goes into each injury," said Rath. "So I think when you do look at it, everything plays a role. Eventually, when I got to the level where I was a vice president overseeing everything with performance, that includes everything like team travel, how you're mitigating travel fatigue, how you're traveling coast to coast, how you're fueling your players from a nutritional and a hydration standpoint, how much stress you're placing on the players. Because, John, if you're stressing them, you're overstressing them from a psychological standpoint. So, from meetings, you understand it with your psychology background that psychological stress is going to increase cortisol levels. Your body becomes less restrictive, and it will not be able to prevent injuries as well when your cortisol levels spike." The latest Lone Wolves podcast episode explores, from a strength and conditioning perspective, the rash of injuries that have hit the Lions this season, and discusses artificial turf versus natural grass surfaces, the increase in MCL injuries lately, and the outlook for Detroit the remainder of the 2024 season. Don't miss any future episodes of the podcast. Make sure to subscribe to the Lone Wolves podcast, which is available everywhere your favorite podcasts are housed. While the Detroit Lions defense has been ravaged by injury all season, Detroit's offense has remained relatively unscathed until now. Head coach Dan Campbell confirmed Monday that running back David Montgomery suffered a knee injury in Detroit's loss to Buffalo Sunday that will require surgery and end his season. "He's just the ultimate teammate," Campbell said of Montgomery, who finished the game Sunday despite the injury. "Ultimate competitor. We're going to miss him. He's another one of these guys at his position helped us to get where we're at. The rest of us owe him." Montgomery's injury means Detroit will have to navigate the foreseeable future with only one half of the NFL's best running back duo. Montgomery has 775 rushing yards on the season, with a 4.2-yard average per carry and 12 touchdowns, which are tied with Green Bay's Josh Jacobs and Los Angeles Rams running back Kyron Williams for the fourth most in the NFL this season. He's also chipped in 36 receptions for another 341 yards. The Lions will now lean more on Jahmyr Gibbs to carry the load for the league's number 4 ranked rushing attack heading into last weekend. Gibbs is certainly capable, already having over 1,000 rushing yards on the season, 1,047 with 11 touchdowns. His 5.6-yard average per carry ranks 4th in the NFL, behind only Lamar Jackson's 6.4, Saquon Barkley 5.9, and Derrick Henry's 5.8. He's also caught 39 passes for 395 yards and 3 more touchdowns. "We have a lot of confidence in Gibbs," Campbell said. He's continued to get better and better as the season has gone. Given the opportunity, he's made a lot of plays. He made some big plays for us. He brings an explosive element. He's getting better in the pass game, and you see what he's able to do in the run game. We have a ton of confidence in him. It's something Campbell said he and defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn have already had conversations about and will continue to do so as the week progresses. Who is going to give the defense the best opportunity to compete? Campbell mentioned Emmanuel Mosley, who has been a healthy scratch the last couple weeks, as someone who is on the roster and available. The potential to move Brian Branch out of the safety spot and into a cornerback role is something Campbell said they'll talk about too. Amik Robertson could also slide outside, per Campbell. The Lions plan to start the practice window for Ifeatu Melifonwu this week, and maybe he can be ready to play Sunday, though Campbell said he'll have to wait until he sees him practice to make that determination. Campbell said they're open to seeing if Melifonwu can play some different roles in the box when he returns. We have options and we'll find the best combination of guys and go from there, he said.